work in US. In our country, if our new president didn't change the law, by 2030, all new commercial building has to be net zero. Do you have to do net zero building? Is there legislation here to be net zero by a certain day? Not yet. So, is it net zero carbon or net zero energy? In the prior administration in US, they changed it to carbon. But in the current administration in US, everything changed back to energy. So this is net zero energy, right? You create the energy on site and you use it, you net out to zero at the building level. Anything wrong with it? Nothing wrong with it. But how about nature? Are we just focusing on anthropogenic impact and forget about the nature? Is it nature not there? So this is the typical matrix of net zero building. Is embodied plus transportation plus operating. You add up to zero, you're good. You're good. This is in US, 33 units of energy at site, you need 100 units at source. Think about it. We spent 100 plus year, 1890 was the year in US start using fossil fuel. We spent roughly 100 plus year and developed this amazing energy system that is 33% efficient. All right, 100 years of progress. But if you take it to the source, then it's about carbon. You can do energy too, but it's more about carbon, about emission. So now your matrix can potentially include nature. And why shouldn't we include nature? Is our future going to be survived on anthropogenic technology alone, or symbiotic relationship with human and nature? You want to take a vote? No, I'm just joking. Don't do that. But if it's really about human and nature thriving together, maybe we should account nature in our work. Why shouldn't we? So what do we do here? Our company, I actually designed Burj Khalifa, spent 7 years of my life in that part of the world. So we decided to bring Burj Khalifa to Chicago and compare to this, my neighborhood. Same amount of houses, same amount of area, and understand what happened if we include nature in our matrix. So this is Burj Khalifa in Chicago, taller than the Willis Tower. And this is what happened. Burj Khalifa's footprint is about 350 by 350 feet, square feet, well, I guess 350 by 350. And then that's the single family homes footprint. So in that process, we will have to take away a lot of the forest. Temperate forest is actually quite a good carbon sink. So what's that impact? We want to understand it. So here we go. Burj Khalifa has about 2 million square feet above grade, so 1,000 apartments, 2,000 square feet each. Typical suburban home in Chicago is about 0.3 acre. So we start comparing the footprint. Now, there are two studies we also reference in this process. The number one study is done by CTBUH. It compares, again, Chicago, but it's the buildings, the tall buildings on the left to Oak Park, which is community with relatively higher building, not completely just single family home. And then the other study we utilized is this study here, comparing one building in suburb of Toronto to downtown Toronto building. So we reference those buildings. Are you ready for the results? Yeah? Here we go. Embodied carbon. Who's the winner? the low-rise. Now, this is not done by per capita. It's done by per square foot or per square meter in this case. So the low-rise is the winner. No matter how you measure it, the low-rise is the winner. From the Toronto study to the Chicago study to our study, the low-rise is the winner. The tall building per square foot or per square meter, it just takes more embodied carbon to make it. Operating energy, who's the winner? Actually, let's take a vote here. Who said the high-rise is the winner? Some people? Low-rise. You know what? You're both right. What happened? You know, we all have this preconceived notion about what is going to perform better. But in reality, it's actually depending on a lot of specifics. And here's why. Now, this is including all the building. Single-family home on the right side, I studied, did all the suburb single-family home and their energy consumption operating per square meter per year. On the left is the same thing, but the high-rise building in Chicago. And we can get this number now because they're energy benchmarking, so we can actually get this number online and figure out where's the 50th percentile of the building on the high-rise. So in this case, the high-rise is more efficient if you summarize all this building in Chicago. But if you look at the Toronto study and the CTBUH study, you will come away with very different results. Why? The Toronto study is comparing one building to one building, and they are relatively new. And in that result, per square foot, the low-rise more efficient. The Chicago study that done by CTBUH is also the low-rise is more efficient. In this case, they are comparing the low-rise, not just single-family home, but in Oak Park they have several-story buildings. So it's a little bit different than single-family home. So one thing you can take away is don't immediately jump to conclusion, which I thought I knew the answer before I stepping into this, but now I find out it's actually very specific on the type of construction, what year, how tall, all this stuff play into it. But if we go by this, which is the general stock of the Chicagoland, then this is my conclusion here. The high-rise is more efficient because of that. Now, again, this takes into account of the whole stock of the building in Chicago. Transportation, which one is more efficient? Maybe we should be more uniform here, right? High-rise or low-rise? High-rise, right? That's a given. So no matter you go to the Toronto study or the Chicago study, you will come with the same conclusion, same as our study. The high-rise is more efficient. And in this case, it's roughly about 50% of the low-rise. Now, the Chicago CTBUH study actually indicates the travel miles by car in the city is only 1/3 of the single-family home. But transportation is going to be the high-rise better. What about this in the future? Is that going to change the game? I think absolutely will. When we were young, we did that salesman's or salesperson's problem, what's the shortest route to pick up the people? I think that's going to change this equation a little bit. Is our future going to be still just transit-oriented driving when you have autonomous vehicle can take you anywhere? Will that change the game we play? But for now, high-rise we know. How about nature? High-rise or low-rise? High-rise, right? Because high-rise can avoid a lot of the plants and forests getting destroyed. How much? Well, this is how much. So let's put it together. So this is the picture of embodied carbon, operating carbon, private vehicle, public transportation, and nature all together. And the winner? The high-rise. Now, notice this is heavily dependent on the operating carbon In this case, it's almost double because we are taking into the stock of all the buildings in Chicagoland. That may or may not be replicated in your city. So before we dive into a conclusion, we have to be really careful about that. But even if you take that operating energy of the low-rise building, the same as the high-rise because of transportation and the nature piece, the high-rise will still win out. What if in the future we have something like this as we push down close to net zero building, the operating energy of the building starts dropping? Now the nature piece become a lot more important than it is now. So the point here is accounting for nature. If you truly believe, hey, by the way, what is utopia? Anybody? What is utopia? Anybody want to like his version of or her version of utopia? Nobody? Anybody? Come on. So we did a study. I teach at a university, so I have a PhD student go study what's a utopia. I don't have time for it, right? PhD student got more time. You know what did he come back with? If you and I are 60 to 90% microbials, that's who you are. Yes, you. If you think you're too highly like sophisticated life form, remember you are nothing but 60 to 90% bacteria. So do you think your heaven is in a glass box, or your heaven is integrated with nature if you are microbial? So the student come back and said, no matter from the faith of Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jewish faith, Buddhism, sorry. There's a common multiple along all that stuff, and including science too. If you truly believe we are microbials, you know what that utopia is? He find out our utopia, the common multiple, the common thread went through all the culture and religion is, utopia is a place where human and nature will finally thrive together. A garden with running water. That's the heaven in Islam, and maybe Christianity, and Jewish faith too. And also it's Buddhism's ultimate paradise, is all these people and nature will finally thrive together. Now, if that's utopia, why are we just measuring anthropogenic impact and thinking we are the only thing that matters? Are we? I don't think so. I don't think nature needs us. I think we need nature to survive. So you may see, okay, that just on the carbon side. Consider other things in nature. This is the Chicago. In Chicago, we have about 3.5 million trees. It stores a lot of carbon, sequester a lot of carbon. It actually helped to cool the city 3 to 4%. I like the visual fascination part done by a University of Chicago professor. He said 10 trees on a city block is equal to $10,000 US, you're richer, and 7 years, you're younger. That's called soft fascination. I want to touch on that. Soft fascination is the moment you look up to the night sky, you go, wow. At that moment, your brain relaxes, your cognitive ability increases. Specifically, your retention ability increases. So if you want a good idea, go to nature is a good thing. Now, also help you to breathe better. It eliminates 888 tons of pollutants. And the last thing, you might have heard that before, is increase your white blood cell by 10% if you go to the forest. And the science fact behind it is phytoncide. Now, I also need to warn you that there's only one academic rigorous paper written on that, so more need to be found on this chemical. But the idea is the trees emit chemical to scare the insect, to get rid of the insect. And that chemical actually will bring up your white blood cell by roughly about 10% more. You know what's the point? Maybe there are reasons why evolution brings trees there. And we thrive with the trees for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So I want to conclude by simply saying that I do not believe our future rests on technology alone. I do not believe we, as mostly microbial, are meant to thrive in a glass box. So if our future is a place where we thrive with nature, maybe we should start a new matrix to measure nature together with human to come to a sustainable world. That seems to me a natural conclusion. Thank you.